Greetings and salutations. My name is Michael Schwahn and welcome to the channel. We have some more reaction content for you, and today we are checking out Asterigos, Curse of the Stars, I believe is the rest of this game's title. This game, again, I keep on finding trailers that I'm like, how did I miss this? I keep kind of an eye on what's being announced when and where, especially because I do these reactions, and I keep on finding things that slip through the cracks. Maybe I just suck at this. Anyway, the thing that brought this to the front of my attention is there's like a 24-minute or some insanely long gameplay trailer. I have it. We'll see if we end up needing to watch it or watch some of it. We have the official trailer, a gameplay preview trailer that's like 5 minutes long, and then the 25-minute gameplay showcase. But we'll get started with seeing what the game is in the first place. From the little bit that I did see when I was looking through stuff, this visually reminded me of Immortal's Phoenix Rising. I don't know, it not necessarily ultimately on the full gameplay side of things. It does just look like a pretty standard action RPG, but I'll let the game speak for itself because it has plenty to say with the amount of trailer time that we have going on here. Can I get some more pixels? Oh, that is the pixels. Try again? Ah, there's some pixels.
People said that Aphis developed an advanced and brilliant civilization through miraculous magic. But over time, their arrogance and greed took a toll. They offended the gods, and disasters fell. The City of Stars became no more. But I am not afraid.
Acme Studios? Don't you guys make, like, rockets for Wile E. Coyote?
There are ancient secrets buried beneath the forgotten ruins for nearly 1,000 years. Mystic power waiting to be seized.
What'd that say? Customized, stylish. Is it supposed to be customized? Customized, stylish combat to vanquish foes. Okay.
Yet danger and ruthless enemies lash out from where they hide. Unspeakable evils lurk within. They might fight me, capture me, break me.
Oh, damn.
But no one can stop me.
I will find you.
There's a whole lot more on the end of this trailer. Good luck. Coming soon. First, you were put off by the character models, but you're liking it now. See what I meant by it's kind of got that Immortal's Phoenix Rising look? It's definitely a stylized look more than anything. But there's also a lot going on. It definitely kind of... you can see a lot of the influence in terms of what's being pulled from where. And that's perfectly fine as long as it's done well. You commented about if you're able to make your own combos. I don't know if that was a typo or if that's what they're going for, because being able to customize your own combos sounds really, really, really difficult from a development standpoint. Okay, so this is the gameplay preview. So let's see if this gives us enough or if we need to go check out some more of that longer trailer that we got.
Curiosity drives us forward.
Again, can I get some more pixels, bro?
Leading us to explore the known. and challenge the unknown.
As someone who loves the melding of classical myth and epic fantasy, plus keeps having Netflix recommend him shows with a strong female lead, Asterigos' Curse of the Stars easily caught my eye when it was announced last fall. I was recently sent a demo build of an early segment, and while it may not be as polished as it could be, I definitely put down my controller curious to see how this fantastical adventure inspired by a combination of Greek and Roman mythology will come together.
They might fight me, capture me, break me, but no one can stop me.
Asterigos casts you as Hilda, a warrior of the Northwind Legion, as she investigates the ancient city of Aphis in search of her missing father and its long-buried secrets. The city is said to have been cursed by the gods for its careless overuse of the world's magic, which Hilda herself seems
Show
to
us
be
the
able to
game and
harness,
stop
though
talking
whether this
about
is
what the
common for
last
people
trailer
she's
already
just
told us,
extra
please.
Special is unclear, and the once great ruin is now filled with dangerous beasts and monsters. Now, I initially thought Asterigos was presenting itself as sort of a family-friendly FromSoft homage. You collect Stardust from every enemy you defeat, and once the initial movement tutorials faded off screen, the next thing you learn, after chasing after this weird little crow squirrel thing, was about how you can rest at these magical conduits to create a checkpoint and refill your HP and mana reserves, but that doing so would respawn any enemies you defeated since
Sounds
your last
very
rest.
Soulsian.
You'll also restart there if your HP drops to 0. An emergency teleportation, they call it, making very sure to be crystal clear that you have not died. However, that's about as far as the Kid Souls comparison goes, it seems. Yes, dodge rolling is important, and taking enemies on one at a time seemed to be the best strategy. It's clear that you have not died. However, that's about as far as the Kid Souls comparison
The blocking
goes,
took stamina.
Yes,
The
dodge
dodge
rolling
took
is important,
stamina.
and taking enemies on one at a time seemed to be the best strategy to avoid losing any health, but respawning loses you just a fraction of your collected Stardust, which I'm told you only use to buy and upgrade gear at merchants, and aside from the last boss I encountered, I was hard-pressed to find myself being sent back to the last checkpoint. The higher difficulty mode did feel different, with basic enemies introducing new tactics and boss creatures definitely hitting a lot harder, though even here defeat was rare. That's not a bad thing, of course. As someone who barely made it out of Limgrave and Elden Ring, I'm the last person to say that a game needs to be difficult to be enjoyable. As such, Asterigos' combat system is relatively simple but pretty fun. You can equip 2 magic-infused weapons, each of which has a unique ability in addition to its basic attack combo. The classic Sword and Shield, for instance, lets you parry incoming attacks to leave your opponent momentarily open to a counter, while Hilda's Bracers allow for both close and mid-ranged magic attacks and also let you drop arcane landmines, which was especially useful for dealing with the cadre of melee-centric monsters that I ran into. The biggest hurdle to get over during the roughly half-hour demo was its control scheme. While not inherently awful, there were definitely some choices that made guiding Hilda around the world feel a bit unwieldy. Not being able to jump without holding run, and having those buttons mapped under the same finger, for example, made fluid exploration tricky, and having to open a radial menu before using one of Hilda's weapon skills causes the flow of combat to stutter a bit. That clunkiness did get better as I became more comfortable with the controls, but never went away completely. However, the skills themselves seem to provide a wide variety of options. The demo powers ranged from simply doing a big hit, to creating a temporary shield around yourself to absorb damage, or creating an arcane
This is absolutely a
lightning storm to
Soulsian
attract
game.
enemies to deal damage over time. And trailers have shown some more complicated maneuvers that assumedly unlock as you level up. Stack those alongside the wealth of passive perks and buffs you can acquire, and players
Definitely
with
doesn't
all
have
fighting
custom
styles
combos,
should have
though.
lots of tactical options. Yes, it's still a bit rough around the edges with some lurching animations and unsynced dialogue, not to mention the more than a few crash reports I generated, but overall, I'm curious to see how the full version of Asterigos comes together. Odds are my issues with the
Asterigos?
button layout will
Bruh.
be alleviated once we're able to configure our own control schemes, and hopefully the story and action will be as compelling as its novel art style. Its Greco-Roman mythic fantasy vibe is one that I can easily see myself getting lost in, and I'm always game to tinker with a litany of tactical options to hone just the right build for my arcane war maiden in what was ultimately a promising, if simplistic, combat system. For more on Asterigos' Curse of the Stars, check out the latest gameplay trailers, or if you're into other animated mythic fantasy games, check out our reviews of Immortal's Phoenix.
Okay, I'm gonna pause that. We're gonna move over here, and I don't know if we'll get through all 24 minutes of this. I really hope someone isn't talking through this whole thing. So here's one of the interesting things when it comes to the discussion of FromSoft homages, as he said, Souls-like, Soulsians, as we often call them around here, is that what defines them is not properly defined. Some people will try to define it, and I've even tried to define it in terms of like how I consider them, and he was trying to say that it's not one, even though everything he said is just things that exist in Soulsian games, right? Blocking consumes stamina, dodge roll consumes stamina, resting at a bonfire checkpoint style thing will respawn the enemies in the area. Like, the only thing that it feels like was missing here in terms of like what he was probably comparing directly in terms of like he talked about Elden Ring was that you don't lose all of your souls, in this case Stardust. You don't lose all of your Stardust on death. You only lose a portion of them, and you don't use that Stardust to level up yourself. You only use it to upgrade your equipment, and then that the game wasn't as difficult as he found Elden Ring to be. I don't feel like those three factors are enough to say that this game is a Soulsian. This game is more of a Soulsian than other games that have been called Soulsians. One thing that I'll use as an example is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Definitely feels like a Soulsian, but has almost zero of the things that we just mentioned. Resting at a checkpoint does respawn enemies, but almost everything else that we just mentioned is absent. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins, the recent game that came out from Team Ninja, the people that created Neo and Neo 2. Neo and Neo 2, 100%, right down to their blood, are Soulsian games. Stranger of Paradise could have an argument for not being one, but it definitely still is, even though it lacks mechanics such as dodge rolling doesn't cost you stamina, and that there isn't a resource that is lost upon death. This game has those things. This game has more Soulsian blood in it than most other modern game takes from other developers that are considered Soulsians within it. Hollow Knight, yeah, that's another one. Hollow Knight is another one that is definitely considered a Soulsian. There are Soulsian aspects in it, but it's not even quite as true to blood of a Soulsian as this game is immediately presenting itself as. That's not bad. I'm just disagreeing with his take, is really what it is. Can I get some more pixels? You said this is HD. I don't believe you. I wonder who's playing this. Seems a bit slow running. I mean, the guy that we just saw did say that the game had essentially like some performance issues. There were some sync issues with audio and that the game crashed a lot. This game is supposed to come out. Did it even say? Actually, I don't know if it said. I feel like the first trailer said coming soon. And I don't think the gameplay trailer we just watched had any information about a release date. So it might be that this game is still a pretty early build. This also looks like the beginning of the game, which he said that the demo build that he was sent was an early section of the game. So it might be that this is the majority of what they actually have built. We're gonna clip through here. Checkpoint. So it looks like you probably just get skill attributes to increase your stats naturally, and it doesn't cost your Stardust. You probably build it up naturally from fighting enemies, which is perfectly fine. It's not very largely disconnected from Stardust. It just means that you can't lose your level progression in terms of being able to spend your points upon death the same way that you can in a Soulsian game. In something like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, where you lose your souls, blood echoes, runes, Ambrita, etc. So we got skill trees. Your pretty standard lock on. We already saw them blocking and parrying, dodging. I mean, that looked pretty good. He said it was really simple, but like that was a pretty decent. What was that? Like 5, 6 hits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that might have been the same attack chain, but it definitely looked pretty natural. Text logs. There was a huge spike. Somebody was watching something right here.
Looks like you wanted the hard way.
Use skill. Pressing B pulls up the radial menu, and then you choose. Okay. I wonder, the triggers are probably things like regular attack, heavy attack, and stuff.
I need to hurry up and find my weapons. Staff, spear, bracelets.
And my daggers. All right, I've got them all back.
And it looks like you probably won't have a lot of new weapons being discovered for you. At least in terms of this early build, Hilda's finding a lot of her weapons very early on. And then, so you'll have your tools available to you, right? Your different weapons. All of them are listed right there. And then the thing that makes combat evolve is instead the abilities that you unlock for each weapon as you progress. So there won't be, I mean, they got like there won't, I'm trying to think of what is missing from that list even. I guess they could make a difference between like a greatsword versus a hammer, two different types of big wompy weapons, right? But I don't think that you will see additional weapons beyond these 6. And instead it'll be the customization within those weapons. Although looking at the tree here, so this is the skills itself, which is the radial menu abilities, right? And we see that there's 5 abilities under each of the 6 weapons. I wonder if there's things that you unlock beyond that. Because while I would not say that the combat is simple, I would say that the combat would lose a lot of depth if that is the full extent of your customizations. Because, like, this looks good. I like a lot of what this is doing right now. It's a little bit difficult to see because it looks like we might be having... I've tried to set it to 1080p, but we're still getting some mad YouTube compression going on here. And it could be that the game just is not in a state where it visually maintains a lot of crisp clarity because it's such an early build. But I like the general amount of speed and flow that's going on in this. What are these? These are talent points. Hang on. Dodge earlier when you were knocked down, but at a greater SP cost. So these are like, well, like talents. Okay. Hang on. Go back to this screen real quick. Pause. What else is on this page? Not this one. Okay. Setting skills and perks. Okay. Yeah, it looks like the amount of growth might be a bit limited. 6 weapons. Doesn't look like you'll get more. Each weapon only has 5 skills. It doesn't look like there's like a whole lot more that comes beyond those skills. Now, for myself personally, when it comes to these games, very often I'll find a weapon that I enjoy that is fun to play, and then I normally end up playing that one weapon throughout the entire game. There have been exceptions to this, mostly the Team Ninja games. All 3 of them did a good job of making me want to play other things, although I did still find things that ended up being my favorite. I did experiment a lot more in those games than I have in other Soulsian titles. It doesn't look like there might be as much exploring in this, but it does look like there's the potential at least for you to find your own play style. I'm kind of looking here. I want to see if there's a boss in here. Here we go. Many Soulsians is punishing to explore other. Very true. Because if you have to invest time, resources, upgrade materials. Holy hell. Looks like they're going with a system closer to like Bloodborne or... Oh god. Are you dead? Yes. Because I see 2 potions. They have 20 healing potions and 2 mana potions at this point. So they're going with the consumables route. I didn't see them really pick a whole lot up, but it's likely that they're either dropped and or craftable. We have been kind of skipping through this, of course. Do you go back and fight it again? You do. Okay. Go back.
Can't keep going until I...
Shit cost a lot of mana. Wow, that ability is rockin' ass. That ability did a shitload of damage to it. Consumables are a fine line to deal with. It's strictly about how difficult they are to get. Because in Soulsian games, you rely, unless you're just genuinely a god, right? You need healing to be able to, like, fight bosses and progress and stuff. And if they're too annoying to get whatever your baseline number is to fight a boss, so like if the maximum number that Hilda here can carry is 20, it needs to be very easy to get 20. Stacking beyond that is perfectly fine in terms of it goes in like a storage system of some sort, but we don't want, oh god, you don't want to have to move away from playing the game to go waste time grinding out either drops or materials just so that you can get healing so that you can progress to the next stage of the game. I feel like they got lucky there by the boss glitching a little bit into the corner, but a win's a win. I say that, the fight's not over yet, but they definitely seem to have this enemy's number a little bit better now. I really like the general flow of your attacks. They look good. Okay, that was an awkward death, but that's fine.
Looks like it dropped a weapon.
The thing I noticed that sticks out a lot is there was a lot less tracking. Yeah. Enemies were dedicated, which is fine. One of my largest complaints with Soulsians is the comical tracking that you will have in some of these encounters. Bloodborne had a bad balance. He was better if you used the healing blessed drops more. Yeah, it's not a perfect system. And, well, I mean, there's some right there. I wonder if those just fill you up to maximum or if it gives you a certain number. Like a little refill station. There was 2 in the box, but of course that could just be a graphic. Treasure but chest. What's in the treasure chest? A pilgrim's brooch. Which is a trinket. Protects against thunder. Okay, so it's just an accessory. Okay. And it doesn't look so. This is like some story stuff here, seeing what happened before.
You know of the Northwind Legion.
Okay, we'll call it there. It would be cool if they released this as a Steam demo. I wonder if Asterigos release date. This says December 2022 is what just searching it on Google says. I don't know where that date comes from. I mean, here's a Gematsu article from September 2021 that says due out by spring 2022. That's false. And it does have a Steam page with a planned release date of fall 2022. So that at least gives us more than what those trailers had handed to us at this point. These screenshots look way better than any of the actual gameplay that we got to see. I feel like everything we saw was so blurry, where these are nice, crisp, clear images. Like, these look good. I wish the trailers that we saw had this level of clarity, because this looks a lot better, right? This looks clean, whereas, man, muddled. That's a good word for what those trailers were. Yeah, I want a price point, and much like when we just got done talking about Flintlock, I feel like because it's a step above what feels like genuine indie, but it hasn't pushed itself into that higher echelon. We'll probably see it around the $40 or $50 price point. Depending on when it releases, I might have more or less interest in it. It definitely fits into a gameplay style that I'm interested in. I do worry about, he commented that it was very easy, and even on the harder difficulty, he didn't find it very challenging, while also admitting that he couldn't get through the first area in Elden Ring, which makes me curious if this game is very easy. He did play an early build, and he only played in an opening area, so normally that, normally means that it's not going to be too difficult. Could certainly get much more challenging later. The combat's very appealing visually, although it does appear that it lacks depth in terms of variation and customization, but then that just leans harder on the game's mechanics itself in terms of boss and enemy design. So even that isn't necessarily an immediate mark against the game. It just means that if there's not a lot of variation in terms of what you can do within the weapons and the abilities, that then it has to lean on other things a bit harder to make up for that. I'll buy it at 50 depending what other games I'm playing at the time. I would like to see it at 40, honestly. 50 would be a bit conditional for me because of everything that I just said. Unless we get to see more, I don't think we'll see a whole lot more. Maybe like a release date trailer and like a launch trailer. I could see those two things coming, but those won't likely give us much more information beyond what that gameplay preview and that 24-minute gameplay showcase really would be able to give us. So there's a lot of things up in the air for me, but what are your thoughts? Please leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you on where you sit with Asterigos and where you might sit in terms of being interested in picking it up in terms of price point and when you'd like to see it. There's a lot of games coming out. We had such a long drought because of the pandemic, and we're starting to see studios catch up to their own development delays from having to deal with said pandemic. We're getting into new rhythms with figuring out new processes for people working in a safer environment, which has led to a higher level of productivity compared to at the height of the pandemic. So we're starting to see a lot more things, and I feel like next year is going to be very full. Like fall through the beginning of fall through the end of spring is going to be a very full time frame for games. People were complaining about February in 2022. It's a fair complaint because a lot came out then, and then we had nothing. And I feel like everything else is just going to fit into that small 5 or 6 month period. If you want to keep the conversation elsewhere, two great places to do so are Discord and Twitter. Speaking of Discord, we actually have a channel dedicated to these reactions where you can place links of your own that we can check out together live on stream, because we do stream 4 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and I would love to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to catch future videos, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do watch one of the other videos on the channel, or if I see you in the live stream, thank you and enjoy.